How many sales per month is a good amount? This is one of the most tricky things to figure out when you are finding your feet with analyzing products that you're going to sell on Amazon. So I've got 3 examples for you. An example of a good amount of monthly sales, an example of an average amount of monthly sales, and an example of a bad amount of monthly sales. However, there is a bit of the twist with the bad one because sometimes a lower amount of monthly sales doesn't always necessarily mean that it's going to be, not worth your time selling, because sometimes those things can literally pay off. So I've got 3 examples for you. So the first one is what I would say is a good amount of monthly sales. Now I'd say anything that's 300 plus monthly sales wise is good. Okay, obviously the higher you can get, the better. But where do we draw the line? Like what's the lowest amount that would mean a good amount of monthly sales? And I would say that's anything that's 300 plus, as I say. Now, we're going to be focusing solely on the monthly sales. As I say, elements of what I'm going to say is going to be partly subjective, and it will also be determined by, dependent on other aspects of the analysis as well. So we're just going to focus solely on the sales to get that aspect nailed down. And then in future videos, we can talk about other elements. So this is an example of an item that I would say has good monthly sales. Now, the future sales have dipped. Like they have dipped from the previous sales, and obviously, as you may know from when I've told you in previous videos, this can be a bit of an alarm bell, right? Because if it does move down significantly, then the item for this future isn't set to be golden. How it's moved down, it's not moved down in a way that would, have me with both hands on my head going, whoa, but it's enough to make me question if this is going to be a continuing trend with the product. And of course, at this point in time, it's going to be difficult to say. If we look at the chart for 360, for a longer time period, as long as we can, so it looks like it didn't exist prior to this point. If we look at it, we can see that BSR wise, it's had its good periods and it's had its not so good periods, but overall, it's been pretty good BSR wise. So this little dip will hopefully stay a little dip, and hopefully it will then fluctuate back up. But in terms of the monthly sales, how many it's estimated to do per month, still 300 plus. So this is still an item that I would consider to have good monthly sales. Now let's move on to another example. So this is one where I would say it's got average monthly sales. So I'd say your average monthly sales window is anything from 100 sales through to 300. So anything in between those figures, I would say would count as a product with average monthly sales. So there's not too much more that I can say about this one. I mean, as you can see, the previous and predicted the predicted sales for the item also sit within that range as well. So this one will consistently be a steady seller. Now, in terms of where you should be aiming, of course, if you can get some items that have got good monthly sales, by all means, but this is where you should be aiming, okay? There are gurus out there that will tell you to aim only for those good ones and to ignore anything that's below that, but a lot of what you're going to find and a lot of what you're going to end up selling is going to be those that have the average monthly sales, and that's still a good thing, I'd say. So this is where you aim. This is where these are the sort of items that you want to be getting on board. Of course, get on board the good ones as well, but these are the ones that you should be getting on as well. So don't just focus solely on what's good and ignore things like this, because this one is still going to be a pretty good seller. And as you can see, there's 4 FBA sellers, 2 merchant fulfilled. So the competition's not that big. Amazon aren't present, so why not? You can get in there, make some great sales. And because there's not very much competition, especially if you've got a repricing tool, this one will be that bit easier to bump the price up on, so therefore you make more profit on this as well. So this is an example of a product with average monthly sales. Now let's move on to my bad example. So this one, as you can see, the sales are significantly lower. So we're looking at 33 sales per month at this point. Need I say more? I mean, anything that's below 100, I would say is bad monthly sales, but it's not always the case. In this case it is, but in some cases it's not. So we've got 11 FBA sellers on this listing, okay? I would say that with this amount and with the low amount of monthly sales as well, there's not really any point, because it's not really going to be me that makes the sales. However, if there was, say, 4 sellers max on the listing, 3, 4, I could join and I would still have a chance of making some sales. Now, with the sales that are very good per month, you're most likely to be making sales daily. With the items that have average monthly sales, you'll make sales, hopefully, a few times a week, maybe every other day. With items that have got bad sales per month, it'll be sort of like once every so often. And if we want to work out what the monthly sales would have looked like prior, to really help us solidify what we can hope for in the future, if we take this previous amount and go 114, so 90 days is about 3 months. So if we then divide this by 3, 38. So there's not really been too much fluctuation there. In fact, it's gone down a little bit, but it looks like, based on the BSR trends and so forth, it's going to bump itself up just a little bit. So it should then average out, and we might be looking at something a little bit more than 33, given a bit more time. So it's not always a solid no when you look at items like this. It's not advised, but ultimately it depends on so many other factors, like predicted sales, the sales charts, what they say, the number of sellers on that listing, and of course profitability. So it's not always the case where you have an item with bad monthly sales that it's going to be like actually bad. And of course, that's where the rest of these analytical results come in to help you make those decisions. But on a sales only basis, I would say that this would constitute as bad monthly sales, average monthly sales, and good monthly sales. Hopefully this has helped clear that up for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.